video presentation about solving quadratic equations by taking the square root. First, before we start, we need to address what is the square root. The square root symbol, the radical, is this. What does that equal? Well, we all know that this is equal to 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. But what is the square root of 4? What is the square root of 4? What is it? And your gut reaction, the thing that you always are going to come up with, is to say 2. But in actuality, the square root of 4 is 2 and negative 2. All right? All numbers, except for 0, have 2 square roots. Now, the square roots of negative numbers we're not going to talk about for a while, but all numbers have 2 square roots, with the exception of 0, a positive and a negative. And that's important to remember, because when I say what is the square root of a number, you must always use a positive and a negative. So, important to remember, always. And this is something that, if you're not careful, you get half your answers are missing because you don't remember this. Always remember positive and negative. And the way we write that is plus minus. All right, let's do some examples. And this is really, you're going to find this very simple. All right, 64x squared plus 6 equals 87. What we want to do always here, what we want to do is isolate x squared. We want to get it by itself. And we've done this numerous times throughout the year. Getting absolute values isolated, getting variables isolated. And so we're going to subtract 6. We get 81 equals 64x squared. Divide by 64. Divide by 64. So x squared equals 81 over 64. All right? And now what we do is take the square root, of both sides. And the way we do that is just literally square root each side. Square root this, square root that, and we put a plus minus. Square root of x squared is x. Now, this looks complicated and, oh no, fractions. You take the square root of the numerator, the square root of the denominator. So we have plus minus, the square root of the top, numerator is 9, square root of the bottom, denominator is 8, and we're done. Voila. Now, you can leave your answer like this, or you can put it as 9/8 and negative 9/8. Your call. I'm okay either way. All right, let's look at one more. 36x squared minus 4 equals 21. And I didn't write it before, but the directions are going to say solve. All right, solve the equation. All right, again, we want to isolate the radical, isolate the x squared. So we're going to add 4 to both sides, and you don't have to say plus 4. 36x squared equals 25. And we divide by 36, divide by 36. And then we have x squared equals 2536. And we square root both sides. Square root, plus minus, x equals square root of 25 is 5, square root of 36 is 6, and our plus minus goes here. And we're done. All right, our equations, and by the way, this could have been solved also by factoring. And on your test, not your quiz on Friday, but your test that you have, you'll be asked to solve equations by numerous methods. So you have to use the correct method. All right, now let's look at something a little bit different. 2x plus 1 squared equals 4. We do the same thing. We want to isolate the thing being squared, right? Isolate what is being squared. And the thing being squared is this right here. And so we square root both sides, plus minus, and right there. Now the square root of this is nothing more than 2x plus 1. The square root of 4 is plus or minus 2. So now we write two equations. We have 2x plus 1 equals 2, and we have 2x plus 1 equals negative 2. Subtract 1, 2x equals 1, divide by 2. We have x equals 1/2. Subtract 1, 2x equals negative 3. Divide by 2, and we have x equals negative 3/2. So our answer, 1/2 and negative 3/2. All right, let's do one more example like this and we'll call it a day. All right, our last example then is quantity 3x minus 2 squared minus 9 equals 0. Again, we want to isolate what's being squared, so we have to add 9. So we get 3x minus 2 quantity squared equals 9. And then we take the square root of both sides. And always, I didn't say this, but the plus minus always goes with the number, not with the expression that has the variable in it. And the square root of 3x minus 2 quantity squared is 3x minus 2 equals plus or minus 3. And then, as before, we write two equations. 3x minus 2 is equal to positive 3. 3x minus 2 equals negative 3. Add 2, 3x equals 5. Divide by 3. Add 2, 3x equals negative 1. Divide by 3. And we're done. Easy peasy. So we have 5/3, we have negative 1/3, and we're done. You will find this very easy and occasionally very helpful. All right, I hope this helped and have a great day.